So hello everyone and welcome to the Athletics and Recreation panel here today. My name is Annie McClanahan and I am a student athlete at Hamilton, now taking a bit of an early retirement. And I will also serve as your moderator this evening. Thank you for all joining us, and our panelists are going to do introductions shortly. On behalf of the panel, we really want to congratulate everybody for your acceptance to the class of 2024. We know everybody's in a different place in the process, and some of you have deposited and others have not, but we're really excited for you guys no matter where you are. And we hope to kind of tell you a little bit more today about the resources for both student athletes as well as other people just kind of trying to take advantage of the wellness opportunities on campus. So you guys all submitted really great questions. We're not going to be able to get to all of them today, this evening, but we're really going to try and mix as much as we can into this conversation. So if you have any more that you didn't get to submit, you can always put those in the YouTube live chat, which should be on the right side of your screen. And if we get a chance to answer those there or on camera, we really hope to get to them. I think we're going to start it off with some intros of the lovely staff and faculty here. So should we go around the screen and do some name, position, a little bit about your area of expertise? We'll start off with John. Yeah.
Sure, I'll go first. Hi, everyone, and welcome. My name's John Hind. I'm Director of Athletics and Professor in Physical Education. A little bit of background. I'm a Hamilton graduate, proud graduate, class of 1980. I majored in math and economics while I was at Hamilton College. I also played football and lacrosse. I then came back in the mid-'80s and coached at Hamilton College, coached football and lacrosse, and came back in 2007, third time's a charm. Came back as Director of Athletics. I will be honest and upfront right from the get out that you probably will sense a little bit of bias from me, but that has to be accepted. Like I said, it's my third time around. I think we're the greatest college there is, and we're going to tell you all about what we do tonight. Miriam, pass it to you.
All right. So my name is Miriam Merrill, and I'm the Associate Director of Athletics and Professor of Physical Education at Hamilton. It's been a really great place to be, and I haven't been here quite as long as John, but certainly have really enjoyed my time here and supporting students, both in physical education and our student athletes. So excited to have you all here this evening and talk a little bit about our department, what we do, and hopefully you'll have some tidbits of information to take back with you this evening.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Thompson, and I too am thrilled to be here with you tonight. I've been at Hamilton since 1983. So those of you counting at home, that's 37 years. So I'm a little biased too. My son, Alex, is a class of 13 at Hamilton, and my daughter-in-law, Kate Otley, is a class of 12. So I love them both being at Hamilton grads, and I've loved all my years here at Hamilton. I've done many different jobs, too many to even tell you about. But what I do now is I run the fitness center. I run intramural sports. I run the club program. I schedule all the athletic facilities, and I run the campus-wide wellness program for the college. And I know that when you come to Hamilton, we're going to take really good care of you, and I look forward to meeting each and every one of you.
Awesome. Now I get to say something about myself. So once again, I'm Annie. I'm class of 2020. I am from Chicago, Illinois. I am a French and sociology double major, and I was formerly on the women's golf team, and I also do a cappella, and I'm a part of a sorority on campus, and also, spot it with some philanthropy here and there when I can fit it in. So we're going to dive into some questions. To start off, we have kind of a lot regarding just general health and our fitness resources on campus. So what is the college's philosophy towards health and fitness, especially for those who might not be on a varsity team? I'm going to hand it to you, John, to start.
Sure. Well, I would start out by saying, first, congratulations to all of you. And we have a great working relationship with the admissions office. So what I can tell you is this. Our Dean Inzer, talks all the time about once we get to this point, her and her staff do not accept kids that they don't think they can do the work here. So congratulations, you're in a special group, and we're excited to begin working with all of you. I also understand all of you are an intercollegiate athlete tonight on this Zoom, and that's great. Our overall philosophy is that physical activity, lifetime activity, is critically important. That mind, body, and spirit. We want everybody to take full advantage of what they learn here, but also want everyone to take full advantage of our giant playground, if you will. And we're really excited about what we have to offer. Our physical education program is entrenched as part of the overall curriculum for everyone. And I'll let Miriam and Dave talk more about that in a little bit, but certainly we reach out to everyone in the community, and I'm going to turn it to Dave to talk about how we do that.
Well, sure. I think if you just start by looking at the facilities, the commitment is there, and those of you that are listening right now and watching right now, I hope many of you have been on campus and you've seen what kind of world-class facilities we have. And that's just indicative of the commitment that the college has to fitness and wellness. As John said, we've got a long-standing physical education requirement that Miriam will give you a little bit more information about. But I'm very proud that we've stuck with it over the years. Many colleges have given up on it, but Hamilton has stuck with the physical education. And it turns out that we're right. Wellness is important to us. And we started a wellness program about 13 years ago, right about when John arrived, and it's alive and well. And there are many components of it that I'll give you more details as we go into this, but that students can take advantage of. And we hope that you will. And from everything from, sleep to nutrition to actual physical activity to time management, life skills, all of these things are part of the curriculum, as John said, that you're going to get when you come to Hamilton. So Miriam, I'll turn it to you as far as the PE is concerned.
Sure. Yeah, so that's one, as you talked about, great thing about our curriculum is the physical education requirement for graduation. And so there's like 5 components to that. So one of them is a swim test. And so for those of you who, don't know how to swim or, can't really kind of navigate the water, that's all right. We have a beginning swimming class where students who either aren't comfortable with the water or cannot pass the swim test will enroll in that class so that we can ensure that you can pass the swim test. Another piece of that is the physical assessment or the fitness assessment. And so this is, run a mile, you do as many sit-ups and push-ups in a minute as you can, and you sit and reach. So there's several components to this fitness assessment. And that is, once you do it, it's completed and it's marked done. And then the last 3 things are activity classes. So 2 of them can be movement-based. So for those, and then you can also take some other classes that may not have movement connected directly with them, and we'll talk about those a little bit later. But one thing that I want to also make sure that I add is with the 3 activity classes, if you are a student athlete, one of your sports or participation in intercollegiate athletics can count towards your PE requirement. So you essentially would take 2 classes, you have your fitness assessment, your sport, and then your swim test, and that would kind of round out the physical education requirement.
Yeah, great. And Marian, could you just give us like a sampling of you were talking about those movement classes. Could you add a little bit more about what kinds of classes are accepted for that physical requirement?
Sure. So we have, a wide range of classes, anything from bocce to jogging. Coach Hine teaches bocce. It's one of our actually most popular classes. Don't tell him that though. But yeah, so we have spike ball. And then we have some classes that are kind of wellness based. So there's 3 examples that I'll give. One is a class called Therapy on the Rocks, and that one is actually taught by our Director of Counseling Services, which is a really great class. We kind of infuses some mental health conversation with kind of rock climbing class. I also teach a mental health and support skills strategies course. So in that class, we kind of talk about the basics of how to stay healthy, how to support friends, kind of really just this basic kind of mental health component in conversation. So like I said, there's a whole host of classes that we offer: ice skating in the winter, squash, rackets, basketball. I mean, there's a lot that we offer. So certainly students can find a class that either they've never done, or a sport that they've never done before, or something that they want to try that's new. I think there's a lot for us that we offer and a lot for folks to get to know in our class offerings.
Yeah, and I would definitely note that even outside of those classes, all those facilities are definitely always around. The dance studio, the pool has open hours, the golf area is definitely open to the general campus as long as the golf team isn't in practice. So even outside of those classes, it's always really easy to get active and kind of do things with people on campus. Next up,
If I could just jump in,
yeah, of course.
that's a great point you bring up. We don't have any facilities on our campus that are intercollegiate or varsity athlete only facilities. Certainly some of the facilities will be occupied in the late afternoons or evenings by varsity teams when they're in season, but every single facility we have is accessible to every student on our campus.
And I think a great lead up to that for Dave would be, could you tell us a little bit about those options for people who are not going to do a varsity sport and kind of different ways that they can get involved in athletics, whether it be club or intramural, things like that, and maybe some popular options around campus?
Right. So you know, again, starting with the facilities, recreationally, students are going to come to me. You're going to find me in my office in the fitness center. Everybody knows where I am. I'm in a glass office like a fishbowl. And as I said earlier, I do the scheduling for all the facilities. So students can contact me through email. They can schedule through our scheduling system, or they can just come to my office, which is the best option. And recreationally, I can schedule things for them on any of the fields. As John said, everything that we have is available for students all the time around the varsity program, but there's plenty of time around the varsity program. Well, with intramurals, we have a variety of the leagues that we set up throughout the school year. We have a fall season, we have a winter season, we have a spring season. We're playing basketball, it's very popular, touch football, volleyball, softball, soccer, kickball, spike ball is getting really popular. We do all sorts of tournaments, one-day tournaments. We've done racquetball, squash, volleyball tournaments. And then, of course, there's club sports. And club sports are a little bit more organized. We have some coaches involved in club sports. And they're intercollegiate in nature, but not at the same level as the NCAA sports. And we've got something like 16 or 17 club sports right now. So there's really something for everybody out there, from the recreational level to the club level and the intramural level. And we're always open to something new too. So if students come to us and they say, we'd like to see this, or we're really excited about something different, bring it on and we'll get it in the program.
And just to add really quickly, it was great because we had a hockey team that made it to the championships, we had a curling team, ultimate frisbee. So we've had some pretty competitive club teams on campus.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Our poor curlers were scheduled to head to North Dakota or South Dakota for the curling championships right when all the shutdowns happened with COVID-19. So yes, we have a great club program.
And this goes back a little bit further than even you, John, I think, but we actually hosted the National Club Championship for men's rugby. At one point, we hosted it at Hamilton. So we've had some of the club teams do quite well, as you said.
And I knew we had the water polo championship also.
That's true. We did.
Not too far back.
That's right.
Yeah, that's cool. I actually didn't know that either. We've kind of been talking about both athletics, varsity, and intramural and club. But for those who aren't on a team, do those people ever feel out of the loop? What is the sports culture really like at Hamilton, and is it overwhelming for those who don't play? I think, John, you'd be great to answer this question.
Yeah, thanks so much. We're really careful to make sure that all of our student athletes know that they're students first. We talk all the time about being representative within our whole campus culture. We don't want a culture where there's the intercollegiate athletes and everyone else. We want a culture where there's a lot of Hamilton students who all respect that everyone's into something and that everybody supports one another as students. And yes, some of our students happen to be student athletes. And we love the fact that a lot of students who aren't student athletes come and support our students who are athletes, just like a lot of our students who are athletes go and support a lot of students who aren't athletes, whether it be going to a play or whether going to their orchestra performance. I think that it's most special to be a Hamilton student, and then everything that everyone's doing just kind of builds to their portfolio.
Yeah, definitely. And I think building off of that, the wellness classes are something that's a little bit different. It's not necessarily brouhaha kind of sports. So Miriam or Dave, really, could you talk a little bit, Miriam, you had mentioned it with your kind of mental health course, but what other kinds of wellness classes are offered? I know somebody might have asked about yoga, things like that.
So what the fitness center is run, I like to think of it as a health club. So we try to do everything that you could imagine at a health club, from massage therapy to personal trainer availability to meditation. So we're going to have any type of fitness class that you can think of. Now these are outside of the physical education program. These are classes that are held at the lunch hour or after classes, at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So, as I said, various types of yoga, spinning, cardio classes, those are all available to students virtually every day. And in addition to that, as I said, you've got personal trainers, and then we have a lecture series, which is actually overlaps with the PE program. But in the fall, we have a wellness lecture series. We've been running some mini courses for students from topics like nutrition to mindfulness to nutrition and dealing with sports injuries, physical therapy, healthy cooking, things like that. So as I said, almost anything you could think of at a health club, that's what you're going to get as part of the wellness program and in the fitness center. And I just wanted to add to the fitness center, can't wait to get back there. Really a hub, really, Annie, and you could probably speak to this too a little bit as a student, but proud to say this, the fitness center is a very, very popular place socially, and just everyone seems to congregate there in the afternoon almost every day. So we're so happy to see that.
Yeah, I think there's many a time where I go in there and every treadmill is filled and I'm a little bit upset, but I'm also a little bit happy because I know I'm not alone in my desire to go and stay fit. And also the fitness center is just constantly open. I mean, I could go there really late at night. It really helps me adjust to my schedule that I can go there whenever needed. I don't know the hours exactly, but can you throw them out there for us?
Well, sure. I mean, as John mentioned earlier, I mean, the whole thing with our hours is total flexibility. I mean, we're willing to do virtually anything that anybody would ask, but generally the fitness center, which is the most popular facility, 6 a.m. to 10:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. And all the other facilities are open similarly, I would say. And we're going to accommodate students, whatever the needs are.
Yeah, great. I think we're going to move on to a bit of a different grouping of questions, mostly pertaining to varsity athletics. And the first question we have is, how easy is it for students to try out as walk-ons for varsity sports? And is that a common thing? Will coaches let them try out? I know somebody had specifically asked about squash. So John, do you want to try that one out?
Sure. Yeah. We are an accommodating group. We welcome tryouts. Some teams it's harder to make than others. Certain teams have roster limitations. Most don't, some do. but we welcome tryouts across every program we have. We have 29 intercollegiate programs, 15 for women, 14 for men. And we welcome tryouts. Often kids who try out make the teams, not always, but often. And we have several students who try out for one team and don't make it, and then wander over and try out for another team and end up on that team. And some programs really welcome novices, if you will, like rowing. Rowing actually has a novice boat at every race. So rowing is dependent on novices or walk-ons, if you will. So no, I think we're very accommodating, and we talk all the time to our coaches about just communicating very clearly to everyone, so everyone knows how the tryout's going, and we manage it appropriately.
Yeah, I completely agree. I'm doing my senior thesis actually on the two basketball teams, the women's and the men's team at Hamilton, and the coaches are super easy to communicate with. And I actually learned that there were 2 female walk-ons this year onto the women's basketball team. So it's definitely, I think, an opportunity that's fully out there if you have to transition from another sport, or whether you kind of just want to pick it up again. Some of these girls hadn't played in like 2 years competitively. So it's definitely out there.
Yep.
And kind of going off of that, for next fall, when will schedules be announced, and how early will athletes be able to move on campus?
Isn't that a good question? Boy, I've got my magic genie bottles in the other room. Otherwise, I'd rub it and try to get the answer for you. Boy, this everyone knows. I mean, it's not a joking matter, and Godspeed for any of you who have been impacted directly by this whole COVID-19 coronavirus thing. It's crazy. It's a work in progress, if you will. I mean, I look back to the start of the spring, and I was at a lacrosse game on a Saturday. I was at a baseball doubleheader on a Sunday, and by Wednesday it was total chaos. So I'm following the lead of our tremendous president, David Whitman, and his senior staff, who are all tremendous. They're just all huge supporters of the student experience, and we're just one more part to that. And between President Whitman and his staff, and myself and so many others who are included, we're just trying to sort it out. We pride ourselves on being a residential college. We pride ourselves on being a relationship built college, and it's very difficult to maintain and hang on to and enhance the relationships from a distance. We're doing our very best, but we certainly, we'll follow the cues from the Center for Disease Control and Governor Cuomo, and we'll figure it out as we go. I would suggest you might get answers more to that question on the town hall, but we're certainly going to follow our lead. We've been talking about it. The NESCAC partner just was on the NESCAC AD call today. So we're trying to navigate it and figure it out. And we certainly want, we want to open and we want to play sports. This has been a really tough couple months. Never in my lifetime did I go this long without watching live sport. Crazy. I hope we can open up on time, but I know we'll also do the prudent.
Yeah, and if we were to open up on time and you're playing a fall sport, are you able to participate in orientation trips? I would say yes, for sure.
I can cover that. Orientation's a critical part to any student's life at that college, and we don't want to get in the way of orientation. We're fortunate in that our academic calendar aligns pretty well. We do have some students who miss a few things due to orientation, but we're always going to opt for orientation over sport. We have a long time to do a lot of sports. We don't have a lot of time to do orientation. Miriam can talk maybe a little bit more about how she works with all the coaches in the orientation group on campus to make sure we work collegially.
Yeah, so just as you said, we are in constant communication to understand when first years are going to come back so that coaches can kind of flex practice schedules around that. So it's really a collaborative effort so that students can have that opportunity to bond with other first years on their trips and then come back and kind of be focused on their transition into their sport. But then whenever they come back, there's still things to be done. So again, coaches will work around those schedules to make sure that they can balance both of those.
Yeah, and I think going on your orientation trip is just really critical for meeting new people and kind of establishing a base outside of your athletic team, because an athletic team coming in for me was a really big comfort. You come in, you have these people you can immediately go to, use as a resource, kind of get integrated. But at the same time, having your orientation trip group as also another group is a great way to diversify kind of who you're meeting. And you might even meet people on different athletic teams or with completely different interests, which is really, really nice. I had my best male friend from the men's golf team was also on my orientation trip, and to this day calls me the first other golfer he ever met. So those connections are really nice to maintain, but also meet other people and kind of get a view of what's ahead at the Hamilton community. Let's see. Could you can anybody speak to the recovery equipment or injury prehab and rehab resources on campus for varsity athletes?
Sure. Miriam, you want to take that one or you want me to cover it?
You can go ahead and I'll follow up if you got something else.
We have a tremendous sports medicine staff led by Scott Sidden, and they do a tremendous job. From the moment a student arrives at Hamilton as an athlete, right from the very start of their first physical all the way through. We have tremendous rehab equipment down in the training room and, of course, back in the Blood Fitness Center. We have a doctor that comes to campus for appointments weekly, and so we can manage it that way. We also have, if someone needs post-injury physical therapy professionally, we have professional physical therapists that come to campus and work down in the training room at certain hours, and that all gets arranged through our sports medicine program. So it's robust. We also do a lot of well, first off, we baseline test we do baseline testing for concussions for everyone, and we actually extend that to our club sport athletes also. The whole thought there is, if you think it's that important to monitor a young person's brain, I don't know that we could differentiate that it's less important for someone who's playing hockey or rugby than it is for someone who's playing varsity hockey or football. So we have, again, we reach out with our training program to do everything that we can for anyone who's playing a sport at the college, whether it's one of our intercollegiate varsity teams or someone who's participating in our club program.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I mean, you can do sports throughout the year. There's no reason why you couldn't, say, play a varsity sport in the fall and then, continue to stay active through a different intramural sport in the winter. Coaches are mostly encouraging of that activity just to keep you in shape and also make sure that you're getting some movement into your life when you're not on the court or the field, or staying active through your athletics. I think this is a great question, but what is the energy like at an athletic event at Hamilton? Miriam, do you have, I see you at the games, so I know you're there.
Yeah. The energy is really great. I think, as John talked about earlier, our students really do a good job of supporting each other, whether it's athletic space or in theater space or anything like that. So it's no different in our athletic spaces. One thing, I'll do a quick shameless plug. So we have this app called Superfan. So I'll give you all a second to get your phones out and you can download it. But Superfan is really great. So this is probably our second year having it. And so what happens is when there are games, students can check in at the game and they get points. And there's like a leaderboard, so you can kind of see where you're at on the campus, who's got the most points. And then usually towards the end of the season, we'll do a pop-up shop where you can trade in your points for mugs, t-shirts. And also one thing that first years that you'll get to know is that parking space is critical on campus. So we raffled off a VIP parking space this past semester. And so whoever won it, the young man who won it, we found out which dorm he was in and he got a parking spot right on the door. But yeah, so make sure you download Superpan. But yeah, overall, it's really energetic, particularly whenever there's like big games going on and we have a lot of hoopla and a lot of things going around a particular game. They are a lot of fun to get out and cheer on our teams.
Yeah, and it's just nice to kind of go and support those students. I definitely go to the games with people who, you know, might not necessarily be super interested in sports, but those students are still going to show up to be with their friends and to support their other friends who might be on the team. So I think they're great, and they're a super nice way to maybe take a break from studying on the weekend and kind of get outside if you're going to go to a football game in the fall, or take a break and head over to the basketball game in the field house on a weekend as well. Let's see. Somebody asked, are there any plans to renovate the football field or surrounding areas in the future?
I probably should take that one.
I think so.
So I'm going to actually backtrack a little bit. We, as Dave Thompson said earlier this evening, we have tremendous facilities. Friends of Hamilton and different folks who have really stepped up in our board of trustees, who have really been incredibly supportive of our programming and our administration, everyone. We have baseball and softball fields that are as good as anyone with synthetic surface. We really needed that for the weather that we get in early spring. So they're tremendous. We just resodded the entire soccer field, put down a new outdoor track. We have a new indoor practice facility that gives Dave Thompson lots of extra work because everyone goes to find him. That building's full from 6 a.m. to midnight. And so we have a lot of tremendous facilities. And along with, we just refurbished Alumni Gym, and that's spectacular. But along with that, we always have, you know, a list of other projects that we think are vitally important. The stadium certainly sits in that list. A boathouse for rowing sits in that list. We talk about the potential of indoor tennis courts. I forgot to mention, I got with you on here, our new golf facility, with our driving range and professional putting green. So we really, we take great pride. We have Whittier Field, we have Good Friend Field for field hockey. And so we have spectacular facilities. Certainly our football stadium, the surface is tremendous, but we probably needs a little bit of TLC around the perimeter for sure. And that's in conversation along with several other projects.
Yeah, great. We don't have many questions left, but I know a big one is kind of providing a general overview of a student athlete's schedule, which would probably be my area of expertise. So I'm happy to walk through just kind of a day in the life. So golf is a split season. So I have things to do in the fall, and then I have a break in the winter, and then we also have season in the spring. So it's definitely a hefty sport if you're going to get into it, but really tons of fun. So I kind of guess I would start, I wake up, I live with the other senior on the golf team with me, Winda, she's great. And we'll wake up, we'll probably grab some breakfast with our other friends, things like that, head to class, probably have 2 classes on average a day, about an hour and 15 minutes each. And then, you know, you meet up for lunch. I think the first half of my day is really usually dedicated to, you know, work and focusing on academics and really trying to put in the extra effort there so that I can get ahead so that I don't have to worry about it maybe much later in the day, because that's when I kind of focus on extracurriculars. And then, so about 4 o'clock, I'll probably grab my car because the golf team will practice either off campus or really close by, but it's always nice to drive just because you got clubs, and walking around campus with golf clubs on, you'd look a little weird. So I grab my car, text the other girls. We have like a carpooling system, and we head off, and it's about a 2-hour practice. Come back, eat with the team, grab a quick bite, and then maybe fit in a little bit more work before I might have either a cappella practice or some other meeting with like a sorority meeting or something else that I'm getting involved in. I also might have work because I work for the admission office, which is a really great job on campus. So I might be doing that. So it's definitely a balance, but you can really spread yourself over the campus in a lot of different groups and areas if that's something you're really interested in. I don't think there's any confines that athletes are just athletes. I think that is definitely not the Hamilton motto. Open curriculum, I think, really lends itself to students who want to branch out and be a part of a lot of different things. And you'll find that a lot of athletes on campus are involved in a diversified group, whether it's, I think hockey guys really go for the economics. I think that's their shtick. You might find them in finance club or the finance publication on campus. And, everybody is out there and doing other things. And I think it's really great because it motivates students who might not be doing as many things to get involved and see where their other interests lie outside of their athletics. Can anybody speak to what it might be like for a coach at Hamilton? Miriam, you were my coach for a weekend.
I was for like 2 days. Yeah. So I
ate good food.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So from a coaching perspective, they spend a lot of time, in the off season, developing relationships and supporting students in their other role as academic students, right? So they spend a lot of time kind of building relationships there, supporting them any way that they can, and then essentially kind of prepping for the season to come. Within the season, you've got practice and all of those other things, but I imagine, Annie, you can attest to Coach Cupp connecting with you on one-on-one meetings to talk about more than just your sport. So kind of overall, that's what I'd say that they spend their majority of time is, prepping for the sport, and then again, supporting students in their experiences outside of that sport, because, we realize that being able to support the student is more about student athlete, right? It's both of those things. And our coaches do a phenomenal job at that, I would say.
Definitely. And through my conversations with athletes, I mean, the best coaches are the ones that know you on and off of the field, the court, the golf course. And I think our coaches really, really live up to that standard. I mean, they're great people, and they really are interested in getting to know you over 4 years as a person, in addition to as a player.
Yep. Annie, my sense is a lot of the people on this phone call already have established relationships with coaches through recruiting. So hopefully several of you have had multiple conversations and exchanges with our coaches. Our coaches also teach in our phys ed program, so they're busy. They teach within our phys ed program. They're always recruiting, always looking for that next class, because student athletes like yourself move out, and we need to have other ones that move in to keep our rosters healthy. We want students who are well-rounded, who love athletics, who want to excel. I say all the time, there's nothing wrong with wanting to excel in athletics. We want students who want to be great in the classroom, and they want to be great on our venues. And, we want, I kid all the time that student athlete, you're absolutely students first. But maybe on game day, you can kind of flip that around a little bit and be the athlete first, because we do have highly competitive teams, and we just want to compete. We're very proud to be members of NESCAC. We've done very well this past year, as an example. Every team that could qualify for NESCAC championships did, and so every single team played in postseason during the year. a tremendous accomplishment. But then I also point to somebody like, you've already given a great story of how involved you are on campus. I think about Kenna Gilmore, who we were fortunate this year to have the National Jostens Award winner in Kenna as our men's basketball player. And Kenna does tremendous in the classroom. He does tremendous on the basketball court. He tries to excel at everything. And then when you step away from the basketball court or step away from his classes, he's been involved in our Students of Color initiative. He's involved with our Black and Latino Student Union. He's involved with all sorts of clubs and opportunities across campus. But that certainly doesn't diminish one bit from his focus on being a great basketball player. We love well-rounded people who want to be great at a lot of things.
Definitely. And somebody had mentioned if there is student athlete specific programming available for those people outside of their sport. And I wanted to throw in 2 cents about how, this campus has really, and even in the past 4 years, making some great accommodations for athletes so that they can thrive on campus, whether it be keeping dining halls open an hour or 2 extra, or setting up, the Career Center will do LinkedIn photo booths for students, and they'll set up one that works around the student athlete practice schedule so that there's one that's not during that maybe 4 to 6 high time practice slot, and allow for students to really kind of stay on top of everything at the same time and manage their schedules. Is there anything else that is programming available for student athletes outside of their sports? Maybe Dave would have some insights into this.
Well, the student athletes are certainly welcome to participate. And I know they get involved in intramurals, and that's a great social outlet where they get to play outside their own sport with the friends that they live with maybe, and get integrated with the rest of the campus. Of course, all the wellness programming, athletes, our power yoga class, for instance, is a very popular choice for student athletes, and they'll show up for that every Tuesday and Thursday when they're not in season. And any of the other programming, we're not going to see a lot of overlap in club sports, but certainly in intramurals is where you're going to see the varsity athletes. And as I said before, just using the recreational facilities, fitness center, they're in there all the time, and they're mingling with everyone outside of their sport. And that's always fun to see. I love seeing them in there, and they're in there all the time.
Yeah.
Miriam, why don't you talk some about the different programming we have for intercollegiate athletes?
Yeah, so we have, 2 things I'll talk about specifically: our Leadership Academy and our Peak Performance Symposium. So 2 years ago, we did our first Peak Performance Symposium. And so what we did is there was a session on mental health and kind of mental skills as it relates to sports psychology, kind of mental skills within sport. And then we had another session on nutrition. So 2 folks came in, student athletes got to rotate from session to kind of learn about that. This spring, we were slated to have a woman come in to talk about high performance and sleep, but we are no longer on campus, so that has been put on hold. But those are just one of the ways in which we do some extra programming as it relates to student athletes. And then our Leadership Academy is a year-long program for student athletes that are sophomores and above. And so there's usually about 3 sessions per year where they'll talk about things, personality assessments, they will talk about crucial conversations, how to lead, how to connect with your teammates. So there's really robust programming that kind of helps our student athletes become leaders within their teams and then essentially on campus.
I was going to jump in too, if I could. Some of the wellness programming that we've done in the recent year and had planned this year that the student athletes would get involved in would be, we've had lecturers come in on nutrition. That's usually a very popular one. We had an expert on sleep come in last year. That was well attended by the campus, but certainly by student athletes. We had a 6-part series on positive psychology planned for this spring. Unfortunately, that's not happening right now, although maybe we'll be doing some things virtually before the end of the semester. But those are examples of the types of things that student athletes would take advantage of in the wellness program.
Definitely. And speaking of being in off season, one student is wondering, how does weather impact athletics? Can teams practice outside in the winter? Maybe.
I would say with the new indoor practice facility, most days they don't want to. As I said, Dave Thompson's busy scheduling that building from, I wouldn't even say sun up to sundown, much longer than that. To be honest, I think that building could be open 24/7 and you'd find people in there most of the time. It's a tremendous facility, has an infill field indoors, batting cage indoors, screening dropped everywhere so you can play live baseball or softball or lacrosse or soccer, field hockey. Every single sport takes advantage of that building. Can you get outside? Sometimes. Winters can be pretty tough, as we all know from Clinton, New York. But that's the big reason we needed that building. And we now have that along with the original field house. And the original field house has the indoor track and a Mondo surface. So between the field house with the Mondo surface, the indoor practice facility with turf field, our tremendous fitness center. We haven't talked about our weight room facility, which is state of the art. We have strength and conditioning coaches. We know that athletes want to work their trade, year round, basically, and that's okay. We're not allowed to coach you year round in NESCAC, but that's okay. We can give you support and guidance and the facilities to where you can have at it.
Definitely. And even the golf facility has a little shed where it's heated, you hit out of there in the winter if you need to, and all the balls just disappear into the snow.
We find them in the spring when it melts.
It's so true. We do a big pickup right after the snow melts, for sure. I think this is a great question, and I might be able to speak to this a little bit, but are faculty and staff supportive of athletics and student athletes? And it's a big yes, for sure, from me. I think, your professors are always going to see if you have anything going on the weekend, whether it really be athletics or anything else. I see plenty of them at a cappella concerts, as well as football games or basketball games or hockey games are a really great way for the community to come up the hill and kind of find some place. I mean, it's not much warmer in a hockey rink, but it's still a great place to commune with people. And so speaking to that question.
Well, I was going to jump in real quick and just mention that we do a few events during the year that faculty and staff engage directly with students and student athletes. One is a 5K that we do in September, and faculty and staff are out there with students and they have a great time. We do a barbecue as part of that, very social and not ultra competitive, but it's fun. We do a wellness fair in the spring, and that's all campus and lots of faculty and staff and students are there. And then at the end of the year, alas, not this year, but there is something happening, but we do a thing called Ham Trek, which is an all campus triathlon. And it's in its 16th year now. And that's faculty, staff, and students. We do it as relays and if they want, as teams, and often faculty, staff, and students will be on the same relay. And it's a great event that brings everybody together. We are hoping to do a virtual version of that a week from this Friday. So stay tuned.
How will that work?
Oh, well, wait and see. We're working on it.
More to come.
Oh, yeah. Check the announcements on Friday.
Yeah, I'd like to jump in and talk about our faculty, and then I'd like Miriam to talk about our faculty affiliate program, which we're very proud of. But overall, our faculty is very supportive, as you said, of of everything our students do, and that would be inclusive of intercollegiate athletics. At the end of the day, if there is something scheduled and there is a push, I'm trying to think of something offhand, but so for example, if as a student athlete, you sign up for a course that has a required field trip, it's pretty hard to miss a required field trip for a course. Our faculty work tremendously with us to try to accommodate what our student athletes need and want to do. And they respect that. And we respect the working relationship. All three of us are professors. So we certainly respect the relationship we have with our teaching faculty at the college. I don't joke around when I say they are you're all student athletes first, your students first. We're going to try to support and work around it, but at the end of the day, there are a few times where you will have an academic responsibility that will trump intercollegiate sports, but they're very few and far between. And just as you said, it sounds like you had a tremendous experience from all the different faculty you had who worked around you having to miss classes to go on different golf trips.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely just letting, communication, I think, is key with your professors. As long as you're putting your best foot forward, I think they will too. So just telling them, this is my schedule. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to be gone every weekend, but I might have to miss a class here or there. What are we going to do to kind of figure this out so we both win in this situation? And I think they're really receptive to kind of, as long as you're being accountable, they're happy.
Great.
Yeah.
Miriam, can you talk about our affiliate program?
I can. So our affiliate program actually matches a faculty member with each team. And so the faculty affiliate is really there to kind of help student athletes navigate any questions or concerns or anything that they may, any needs that they may have as it relates to academics. And it's been a really successful program that's allowed, faculty to kind of be more connected with our teams. And then also gives our student athletes kind of a sounding board outside of maybe a mentor on campus or their own coach to kind of bounce off maybe some academic concerns or questions that they might have. But it's been a pretty successful program.
And we have time for about one more question. And so I think maybe we would just go around in a circle because that would be fun. And we can all say our favorite wellness class offered at Hamilton and maybe why.
Well, I'll go first on this one. And Dave knows my introduction to yoga was taking one of the scheduled yoga classes that Dave Thompson had scheduled on campus for wellness. And I'll be honest, the very first time I took yoga class with Christy, I fell asleep. So she had to let me know that it wasn't supposed to be, that's not what she meant by relaxation. That mindfulness was also involved in yoga. But that's a great example of, I feel more than comfortable, more than welcome to go into a wellness class that has staff, faculty, students from across campus. So yoga's mine.
And I'll jump in and I'll say, actually, it was a wellness session. So Dave talked about how we had brought some folks in to talk about the importance of sleep. And that by far was probably the most that I've ever learned about the importance of sleep. And I think students often will talk about lack of sleep as if it's a badge of honor to only get 1 hour or 2 hours of sleep. But the way in which they talked about how it is so necessary to get sleep if you want to be successful in life. It certainly was eye-changing or eye-opening for me. And the students that I talked to and attended felt the same way. So my favorite one was sleep by far.
So glad you liked it, Mary.
You're welcome.
Well, I like all the classes, obviously, but I'm going to go with another yoga class, and it's a different yoga class than John mentioned. This is the Power Yoga class, which happens every Tuesday and Thursday at 4:30, and I love it because we have a very dynamic instructor, and the students just love her. Annie, I don't know if you ever made it to that class, but This is one of the most popular classes I've ever seen in my time at Hamilton. It starts at 4:30. Students start showing up at about 3:45 to make sure they get a spot. And our multi-purpose room is literally wall-to-wall people. And the best part of it all is the instructor's name is Susie Hamilton. So that's the class when you're at Hamilton next year. I highly recommend that you check that one out.
Yeah, Susie's great. I would say this is kind of a branch off. It's not necessarily athletic related, but Susie also runs a really cool program on Monday afternoons that's only about a half hour. It's called Inner Space. She's really passionate about it. And you kind of just go, and she has a theme for every week, and you just talk about, you know, life. Maybe do a little check-in with Susie. She gives you her 2 cents, which is always great. And then you do a short meditation. She does a guided meditation right after, which is just a really nice breather. It's only half hour, so it doesn't really conflict with too much in your schedule, and it's fitted in right before dinner. But my favorite wellness class that I took is probably rock climbing freshman year, because I was more daring back then, and I just decided to dive right into something I'd never done before. But it was a really great way to it was beginner, so I wasn't too stressed. And it was also a great option because it's only once a week. So a lot of the fitness classes meet multiple times a week, but if you're a little busier, having that once a week option for a longer session is kind of nice, because you get to make maybe a deeper connection with the people there, because you're spending more time with them in one period session, and you also get to try something new. That was my favorite. And I think that's about it. So we really want to thank everybody for attending the panel today, all of you, as well as all the people with us at home right now, and for all of your questions. If you guys want to stay connected with us, there are a lot of other options on the website. We have hamilton.edu/explore. And that page is very constantly updated. It always has regular new content and information regarding a lot of different things on campus, whether it be athletics as well as other things. And thank you again for spending time with us, letting us share our experiences with you guys. And we hope to see you on the Hill eventually. We don't know when, but eventually.
Go Blue.
Woo!